Hey Cloud Gamers, I hope you're enjoying our Watch Dogs Legion coverage. We are certainly enjoying the game. Thanks to Maximum Settings for providing the key for our comparisons. Today we are looking at 4K footage on the Maximum Settings 2080 Super versus Google Stadia on the Chromecast Ultra. As I said, both running at 4K. Maximum Settings is set to very high here with ray tracing off and DLSS in balanced, with texture and filtering set to high. Google Stadia is set to whatever it has set to. We do have Pro subscription, so it is using the full 4K here. From articles online, we've been told that Stadia is frame capped at 30 frames per second, but I do find that hard to believe, as we can see that maximum settings here is at 60 and Stadia seems just as smooth. Looking at them side by side here, especially inside, it's very difficult to see any major difference between the two, so it kind of leads me to believe that maybe Stadia, especially at 4K, is running on some very high settings here. Not quite ultra, not quite medium though either, I would say, as the quality of the walls and everything around here looks very close to the maximum settings rig. At 4K it is fairly indistinguishable. When we go outside you may notice a few other little things, but even looking at the wall here, if I took away the names at the top, I think you might struggle to figure out which one was which. As we pause here looking at the books and the room around, it's very similar, a little bit of contrast difference, but that may be just the contrast settings. As we show a bit of the cutscene here, again they are identical with a little bit of coloured variation, but again that could be the streamer or just the gamma settings that I've got in place.
Tamper security is still working. Tell me you're close. I'm through security, now wading through terabytes of decoy code looking for the detonation sequence.
As we go outside then and we show the cutscene past the car, again it's quite hard to tell if Stadia is actually capped at 30 frames per second here, at least to my eyes. And as we pause at the car here, the reflections on the car and the building around are very similar. Again, it might be slight variation here on the model of car, those reflections, or maybe Google Stadia is on high on a couple of other of those settings or slightly lower on those reflections, but overall it's looking pretty spot on. As we start the fast movement then, this is where I think Stadia shines somewhat, as I don't see any hiccups or stutters as we're driving around here. Whereas on the maximum settings 2080, it might be my moonlight connection, but I do see some stutters here and there. And you can see those frames dropping down to the 30s on maximum settings, and there's one of those little glitches. As we come directly to the Google Stadia footage then, just on its own, you can see just how smooth it is when it's running through. Unfortunately the audio is a little off because the splitter that I need to use to capture the Chromecast Ultra footage seems to not have the audio channels set up the way that Chromecast likes. So forgive the audio on the Stadia footage, but trust me, normally it sounds fantastic. You can see there as we're whizzing around, the environment looks absolutely crystal clear and there is no stutters at all from that side. But as we switch over to the maximum settings 2080, although we see a few of those stutters, we can see a bit of a quality bump here, which is a little bit more obvious now we've switched over. The detail on the trees and the road is just a little bit crisper, but really if you didn't have them side by side, you really wouldn't notice much difference. Again, a few little micro stutters there, and we can see those frames really struggling to hold 30 frames per second on the maximum settings rig. Again, this game is going to be optimized over the next few weeks, and we will be covering more footage, especially as the next gen consoles come out and we get our hands on a Series X. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the 4K footage here. I am pretty impressed with Google Stadia on this one, and I can't wait to see how this game gets optimized in future, and continuing to do these comparisons across more cloud gaming rigs and also the next gen consoles as they become available. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all the latest across all cloud gaming platforms, and I will see you next time.